All right, I want to now bring in Congressman Jim Langevin, Democrat of Rhode Island, who's with us from Cranston, Rhode Island, and former State Department Officer Joel Rubin, who's with us from Washington. And Congressman, I'll start with you. You've supported the president, but you've also been asking a lot of tough questions about what the end game is in Syria. Are you reassured by what you heard today?
Well, just a short time ago, I was on the phone in a conference call with the President's national security team in a conference call in the Situation Room of the White House, and they made a very compelling case in terms of laying out the unclassified evidence to the degree that they could as to the fact that what we know about this attack that occurred on using chemical weapons on the 21st of this month. The fact that there is a significant chain of evidence that shows that there was significant planning and an execution order that took place. And the president right now is reviewing the options that have been given to him by his national security team, and he's considering what action to take in response, if any, to the Syrian government's use of chemical weapons against its own people. This attack is unprecedented. It's horrific. It's led to over 1,000 deaths of innocent civilians, many of whom were children. And I believe that there has to be some response by the international community, but I want to stress, and as I did in the conference call, that to the greatest degree possible, this needs to be an international response, and in consultation with our allies, in consultation with Congress, and the president is going to have to lay out the case to the American people as to why any such action should be taken in response to use of chemical weapons by Syria. I've been getting a lot of pushback from many of my constituents who are opposed to any action or any attack or use of force by the United States. I conveyed that to the president's national security team, and it's only the president that can lay out this case and make the case to the American people.
And Joel, you know, on that front, the congressman talks about the international community needing to act on this together, but we've already had the British Parliament say absolutely not and reject it, and David Cameron assenting to that. You have the French, who seem to be on board, but not the Germans. We don't seem to have an international coalition. How would the United States then square the idea that it's acting within international norms if it doesn't have robust international support?
Joy, you're right, and that's been the dilemma for the administration. The administration deeply wants to have international affirmation of this operation. It believes, and rightly, that the use of chemical weapons is deplorable. We've seen for the past century global repudiation of their use. It's a universal ethic. So for their use to have taken place, but yet to not have global solidarity behind a response is very difficult. Clearly, the administration has decided, though, and there's a sense, and when I was at the State Department before the Iraq War as a career officer, it was the similar feeling that there is a decision that force will be used, and people are collectively holding their breath to see what happens and what the consequences of that will be.
And Congressman, as we sort of careen toward those consequences, you talked about your constituents being dead set against action, and clearly that is because of Iraq. So how do you square what you're hearing in those briefings about Syria with a case that really does sound eerily similar to the case that was made against Iraq in 2003?
Yeah, and that's a good question, an excellent point, and it was brought up in the conference call. And obviously, Secretary Kerry, in his remarks, has addressed those as well. Many of the reluctance on the part of many of my constituents is because of what happened in Iraq and the faulty intelligence that we were given, the American people were given, and the international community was given before action was taken in Iraq. And I opposed the Iraq war because of the fact that the intelligence was not clear. This is a very different situation, of course. We know, in fact, there was concrete evidence that the Assad regime does have chemical weapons in large numbers, quite frankly, and we do have compelling evidence that they have been used against innocent civilians. So let's remember that the attack that took place using chemical weapons by the Assad regime on the 21st is not the first time that the Assad regime has been accused of or apparently used chemical weapons. They've been used several times. This case on the 21st shows that we have the most clear and compelling evidence that the Assad regime used and ordered those attacks to be carried out. So it's a very different situation from Iraq. But again, the president needs to make this case to the American people, and to the degree possible, we need to do this in coalition, in concert with our coalition partners around the world. The president understands that, and I expect that he's going to be addressing the American people very shortly to lay out this case.
All right, Congressman Langevin and Joel.